Ukraine is set to mark 90 years since the beginning of the Holodomor, a great famine that killed millions of people between 1932 and 1933. The man-made disaster is considered by Kyiv and a dozen other countries as an act of genocide by the Soviet regime when Joseph Stalin forced peasants to relinquish their land and personal property to collective farms. Any peasant who resisted was deported, a measure that sparked numerous armed revolts. To quell the unrest, the Soviet regime decided in 1932 to prevent Ukrainians from receiving any food, organized groups of communists ransacked homes and took anything that was edible as well as grain. According to different estimates, between 4 and 10 million Ukrainians lost their lives. In other words, between 12 and 30% of Ukraine's entire population died as a result of starvation. Today, many in Ukraine and its allies draw parallels between those events and Russia's invasion. They say the goal is the same, to deny the Ukrainian nation the right to exist.
Alright, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakakwadash. I'd like to give double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who our land is true from. And I'd like to say peace and salutations unto the hopefully elect. And today I just want to go into this article that I came across. My goal in this lesson is edifying and straight to the point. And just like the clip that I featured, the title reads, Holodomor, Germany to call famine that killed millions of Ukrainians in the 1930s a genocide. So, I'm just going to go into a little bit of this, bring over a couple of scriptures. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying and straight to the point. And it says, Germany will recognize the 1930s famine in Soviet Ukraine under Joseph Stalin as genocide, according to a draft resolution unveiled on Friday. The document tabled by Germany's ruling coalition will be debated next Wednesday in the Bundestag, the German parliament, between 1932 and 1933. Some 3.5 Ukrainians died in a man-made famine known as the Holodomor, meaning extermination by starvation in Ukraine. Some historians claim Stalin purposely orchestrated the famine to eliminate a Ukrainian independence movement. Others say it resulted from his botched policies to collectivize agricultural land coined during the Second World War in 1994. In 1944, genocide is the deliberate annihilation of a people by an ethnic, national, racial, or religious group. Ukrainians hold a national memorial for the Holodomor, considered a genocide by 16 countries. On the fourth Saturday of November, which this year falls on the 26th of November, Russia categorically refuses the classification of the Holodomor as a genocide. It claims the Great Famine, which ripped through the Soviet Union during the early 1930s, killed not only Ukrainians but also Russians, Kazakhs, Volga, Germans, and a number of other peoples. The famine is one of the most inhumane crimes committed by the totalitarian systems in the first half of the 20th century. Read the draft resolution. It continues, the crime is part of our common history as Europeans. All of Ukraine was affected by famine and repression, not just for its grain-growing regions. For the current perspective, it is therefore obvious that this is a genocide on the historical and political level. Classifying the famine as a genocide is a significant, and amid the Russian invasion of Ukraine, launched in February, once again, violence and terror must deprive Ukraine of its vital bases and submit the whole country, said Robin Wagner, a Green MP who helped bring about the text. He described calling the Holodomor genocide as a warning signal. Russian President Vladimir Putin is part of the cruel and criminal tradition of Stalin. Wagner continued, Ukraine has campaigned for years to have the Holodomor recognized as a genocide. And yes, that was something that took place in the 1930s, over there in the Ukraine and Germany, but it's going to take place over here in America in this present time that we're living in. So again, I'm just going to bring out a couple scriptures. I'm going to start in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 11 and verse 22, and it says, Therefore, thus saith the Lord of hosts, I will Slakia, behold, I'm going to reread it, Slakia, the book of Jeremiah, chapter 11 and verse 22. Therefore, thus saith the Lord of hosts, behold, I will punish them. The young man shall die by the sword. Slakia, their sons and daughters shall die by famine. And yes, even though, you can tie that to the nation of Israel, pretty much us being in, captivity. But, a lot of people, they're going to die, Men are going to die by the sword, which the modern day sword is the gun. Excuse me, it's like and a lot of people are going to die by the famine, because famine is pretty much, a lack of something, in this case, a lack of food, because that's what Esau Edom is going to do over here in America, ultimately around the world, but primarily here in America, I'm going to go to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 15 and verse 2, and it says, And it shall come to pass, if they say unto thee, Whither shall we go? Then shalt thou say to Slakia, then shalt thou tell them, Thus saith the Lord, such as are for death to death, such as are for the sword to the sword, such as are for the famine to the famine, and such as are for the captivity to the captivity. And yes, these are the various judgments that are going to take place here in America, People are going to die, People are going to, die by the sword. People are going to die by the famine. People are going to be thrown into, concentration camps. This is ultimately all a part of the Lord's judgment, for Esau, Edom, and the 2/3 of the nation of Israel. And I'm going to go to the book of Revelation, chapter 18, and verse 8, and it says, Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning, and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Lord power who judges her. Yes, that her is going into America, Babylon the Great. Because her judgments, her plagues are going to come in one day, Because those are things, the Lord, just like the Lord plagued ancient Egypt, he's going to plague America, which is modern day Egypt, spiritually Egypt, spiritually Sodom and Egypt, Revelation 11 and 8, or 11 and 4. Lucky, yeah. Revelation 11 and verse 8, America being spiritually Sodom and Egypt. I'm not going to read it. I'm going to go to the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 15, verse 5, and it said, Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, death. It's like you. Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. And yes, that's what the Lord is coming with, because wickedness has exceedingly polluted the earth. And that was verse 6. I was going to read it. It says, this is 2nd Esdras 15 and 6. For wickedness hath exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. And that's why the Lord is going to judge America the way, that he is when he comes back. Because America is going to be destroyed by way of, those ICBM missiles and the fire from the chariots, when the Lord returns. It's going to be the judgment of America, because of the sins, that Esau Edom pushes throughout the world from this land. Then we're going to jump down to verse 49. This is the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 15 and 49, and it says, I will send plagues upon thee, widowhood, poverty, famine, sword, and pestilence, to waste thy houses with destruction and death. And yes, that's what the Lord is going to bring upon this land, Babylon the Great. Is going to send these various plagues before he sends our Lord Yahushua back to, deliver the elect of the nation of Israel and destroy America, But, the main point of the lesson that I want to focus on is the famine, because there is going to be a famine of bread, there's going to be a lack of food, because Esau Edom is systematically, disrupting, the food supply chain. And there's also going to be a famine of the word as well, So to any new brothers and sisters that may come across this video, get the truth while you can, because it's not always going to be, available. So there's going to be two famines, a famine of bread and water, and a famine of hearing the word, of the Lord. So Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Akakutash. I'd like to give double honors unto the apostles and the orders of Great Millstone, where I learned this truth from. And I'd like to say peace and salutations unto the hopefully elect. Till the next time I say Shalom.